I have 8 numbers here. You get to pick 3 of them, and whatever you pick, that's the questions that we start with. 1 through 8, what is your first number?
I'm gonna go with 3.
This one is called Running Up That Hill. I know you've been asked a million times for your song that fills the Running Up That Hill spot, but I'm going to switch it around here. I want your movie. Like if Vecna had you in the Upside Down and someone started playing a movie, what movie would get you out of there?
This is my completely honest answer, and it is Devil Wears Prada. I think I could quote the entire thing. It's a movie that holds a lot of sentimental value.
I absolutely love that answer, and I can understand it too. I can't turn that movie off when it's on.
No, and no matter how many times I've seen it, if it's on TV, I will watch it.
Number 2 for you now. Which one you got?
Let's go with 6.
What is the most memorable rap gift you ever received?
For season 2, Matt and Ross got all of the cast just like a still from this season and like put it in a really nice frame. I think they did the same for season 3. But I really loved that gift because we also like hadn't seen anything, like any footage or anything from the season. So seeing like a still of what it's gonna look like and having it framed. That was a really nice gift and very thoughtful.
All right, you got one more number left. What is your last pick?
2.
This is one of my absolute favorites of the bunch. It's high-low. Can you give me one audition high, but then also one audition low, and tell me what you learned from that low?
Audition high would be the Stranger Things audition because it was the most fun I'd ever had in an audition room. And I left I think I just had like a good feeling, and honestly, I didn't really care what the outcome was. Like I just had like a really good time and was proud of myself. So that was like a good audition high. And it's always a high when like you get the role at the end also. So like it makes it like the best outcome possible. So that was a big high. Low would be, oh God, I had a really awful one. I was probably 14 or something. And I think I had my phone in the room, like it was in my bag and it was in my room and I forgot to turn it on silent. And like I had a group chat that was just blowing up constantly throughout this scene. And it was so distracting to everyone in the room and incredibly unprofessional. So what I learned from that moment was just to never bring your phone in the room at all. And before this, I never had, but I don't know why I had it for this one. I definitely learned my lesson.
I can spin that around for you. I still think it's better that you were interrupting your own audition than bringing it in the room when someone else was involved and interrupting their audition.
That is true. Okay, we'll look at it that way then.
Hello everyone, welcome back for a brand new episode of Ladies Night that I'm very excited about because I have Sadie Sink from Stranger Things on the show. I have to say Stranger Things and Fear Street because I think you already know I'm obsessed with Fear Street.
Right. I remember we talked about Fear Street, what was that, last summer, I guess, right?
Honestly, it feels like it was just yesterday because I talk about Fear Street nonstop.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Thank you.
It's very special to have you on the show right now. You've been phenomenal in Stranger Things in general since day one. But oh my, season 4, episode 4. I'm not a believer in jinxing things. I'm a believer in manifesting things and also telling the truth. That, in my mind, is an Emmy nomination worthy performance. And I'm going to say it as many times as I have to.
Oh, thank you. That's really sweet. Thank you so much.
I know one of your very first professional gigs was the revival of Annie on Broadway. So was there a point where you thought maybe my career would be on the stage and not on screen?
Yeah, I mean, that's always what I envisioned myself doing. I never, like, film and TV acting was never something that I hadn't tried that, or I wasn't really interested in it. And it was only the stage and musical theater that I loved. And the film and TV part of it came along, I think once I turned 13 or something. And that's kind of when your Broadway career just comes to a temporary halt. And they're like, okay, we'll see you when you're 18. So during that time, I think I auditioned for a few TV shows or movies here and there. And then that's kind of when I ventured into that side of acting. But yeah, I always wanted to be on the stage, and I still do, but film and TV I definitely love it a lot.
Oh, there's a whole lot of time to do everything. Two-parter on making that transition there. First, what's something about acting for the camera that surprised you in terms of how creatively fulfilling it was? But then also, what's something about going from stage to screen that required a little bit of a learning curve or an adjustment?
The thing that shocked me the most when working on a film set or a TV set was that you can mess up, and it's okay to mess up, and it's okay to start a take and not be happy with it and not feel it and ask to go again and just start and take it a few more times. Yeah, but like coming from a theater background, it's like, no, like you don't mess up. Like you have to do it right every single time. So it was kind of like very freeing to be able to not feel like this like pressure just to like always have it perfect, and like it can take work and it can take like a few takes and stuff. And I guess the biggest difference in terms of like acting too is we had to like, that was like a big thing when we were younger, when you would go in for like audition for film and TV, and like you were a Broadway kid, like your agents or your manager or like your teacher or acting coach would be like, okay, like it's for the screen, so you got to reel it in a bit. Like you can't be like the Broadway kid. Like you got to be a little bit more subtle and nuanced, and especially coming from a show like Annie too, which is like the ultimate, like kids doing jazz hands and tap dancing, and there's a dog, and so it yeah, they're definitely different styles in terms of acting.
Here's a little bit of a broader question for you. I imagine you had so many wonderful experiences working as a child actor, but do you remember the first moment or specific project that I guess kind of made you feel like an adult in terms of your creative input being heard in a different way?
Yeah, I would say probably this movie that hasn't come out yet. It's called The Whale, and Darren Aronofsky directed it. Brendan Fraser's in it, and it was a really small cast and a small set. And we had a whole like 3 weeks of rehearsal, and Darren kind of wanted to treat it as if it were a play, because The Whale originally was a play. And the way he staged it and the way we rehearsed it, and he like, the same as you would do in a theater company, he like taped the walls of the set and everything so that we could rehearse kind of in like a mock space, I guess. But yeah, that was probably the most it was just like a really creatively like fulfilling project to work on, and to have that rehearsal process, which we so often lose when you're working on a TV series. It was like really it was just really special, and it was nice to have that and to collaborate and focus on like character work, and really take the time to dive into the text, so that when it comes to the shoot day, you feel really prepared and like you know your character really well.
Does not surprise me to hear that he's the one who gave you that kind of
Totally,
experience. I
yeah.
love it. Here's a Max specific question for you. I know there's still more to come, but whether it was when you first started doing the role on set or anything that's happened since, is there any particular scene or thing she's gone through that kind of defined or redefined the character for you, where she came into focus with such clarity that from that point on, you kind of had the ultimate firm grasp on her and what she's capable of going forward?
I think the first moment that comes to mind is the one where she has the bat with Billy in season 2. And I remember reading it and I was like, oh, okay, Max. All right. I get you. Just because she really like, before she had this kind of this, relationship with Billy that was really tumultuous and like not, I don't know, not healthy. And you just kind of saw that like back and forth between them, and him just kind of ganging up on her. And I remember reading it and kind of being like, okay, like when is she gonna snap? Like when is she gonna take control? And I think, I guess it was like the final episode of season 2 when she finally does. That felt kind of like a defining moment for her, just in the sense that like, she's not someone that's gonna like be stepped on, or like, she reached her breaking point, and she's gonna act on it and finally like speak her mind. So that was like very empowering to read and to play out, and a nice moment for Max. And she's had a lot more of those, I think, since the first one, which is good.
Leading into season 4, though, so we do get the necessary broad strokes in terms of what life has been like for Max between the end of season 3 and the start of season 4. But is there any gap there that you have to fill in yourself, where maybe it's something we don't see or hear in the actual show, but we can feel it informing your performance?
Totally. I think I thought about that a lot before going into shooting, just because I was a little confused, or not confused, but I just wanted to kind of like tap into it, like explore it a little bit more. Because you see at the end of season 3, it's like Billy has died. And then there's a scene where she's like singing with Lucas and like making fun of Dustin. And I think when I read that, I was like, huh, like, is she just not affected by his death at all? And then to see where we left off in season 3 and then to jump into season 4 where she's kind of in this deep state of isolation and depression. I was wondering, okay, how do we get to that point to here? What I feel like happened is it was just a gradual kind of, I don't know, she was coming to terms with everything that happened and it all like settled in. And also just the domino effect that his death had on her living situation and her family and what her life looked like, combined with just the guilt kind of settling and the grief as well. So yeah, I think I definitely like kind of tried to get that timeline together, as well as like the breakup between her and Lucas. Like, how did that happen? How did that come about?
I mean, well, now I have to ask, have you put much thought into the specifics of that?
I mean, I feel like, yes, I feel like it's pretty straightforward. I think the two characters are just in such different places. Lucas is actively just like moving on and trying to find the new him and wanting happiness and something new and exciting and to be cool. And Max is not ready to do that. She doesn't want to do it. She's no interest in that whatsoever. And also, but I think the main thing is like Lucas is someone who just, he cares so much for Max and for everyone, but for Max specifically. And he sees Max in a way that I don't think anyone else ever has seen her. And that terrifies her. So probably there was a point where he just couldn't, he was trying to pry or something. He could tell that something was wrong and she didn't want any part of it. So he had no part of it, I guess.
What do you think made Sean the right director for that particular episode? Because, I mean, like in particular, the last 20 minutes is something else where not only do you have to be delivering at peak level, but the way he captures it, and I imagine the way he has to support you in such an emotional beat like that is of the utmost importance.
Yeah, I think Sean is a very cinematic director, and that's such a cinematic last 20 minutes of this episode. So it really was like the perfect fit with an epic assist from Kate Bush. So yeah, I think all the pieces just kind of like fit together. But at the time when we were filming it, it was filmed over the span of like a few weeks, and it was scattered too, just because of, I don't know, the multiple storylines that are happening this year. So this one giant continuous scene that has to have these like high stakes and energy throughout the entire time is really divided up between multiple days. So I think just kind of like keeping that energy and that stamina up and trying to remember, okay, wait, like where am I again? Like what has just happened? Where, okay, got it. It was like a lot to keep up with, but something that I think everyone worked really hard on to just kind of make it all make sense. And in the editing room, it came together. But on the day, it was like the running scene at the end, like that was not as long as it looked like it was. I think it was just like 25 yards maybe. And I just did it over and over and over again. And then I think they just like clipped it all together or something like that. So it was crazy to watch in the end how it all pieced together.
Really is incredible. That is the definition of movie magic right there.
Right.
I'll end with this one. It's a very specific question about a line that I might have overthought at this point. But at the very end of episode 4, you have this major set piece and this major experience for Max. And then she comes out of it and she says, "I'm still here." What is it like figuring out the exact way to deliver the line, "I'm still here," so it reflects what she's capable of in the future, but also what she had just gone through?
That is such a good question, because I remember thinking about this a lot on the day. Because, you can play it as like shock, like, oh my God, I made it, I'm still here. You can play it as like, yeah, I'm still here, and like kind of this like determination, I guess. So I think what the cut that they chose was just kind of like a mix of everything, like her just kind of realizing, 1, everything that happened to her, and 2, like, oh my God, like she did it, and 3, it's like she chose that for herself and she chose to kind of persevere. So Yeah, it's a mix of everything, but really good question. Wow.
You're very lucky. I feel like whenever Dewey sits through an entire interview, it's because he really likes someone.
How
So
did I not know that a cat was there the entire
I
time?
feel like it might have looked weird. I was like stroking the air.
Like I didn't really think anything of it, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense now. Wow.
I have to let you go. Thank you so much for your time today. And again, big congratulations on everything you accomplished on all of Stranger Things season 4. But please be very proud of what you did in episode 4 because hands down one of my favorite episodes of the show and probably one of my favorite episodes of television of all time.
Wow. Thank you.
I
That
mean
means
it.
a lot. Thank you.